All right, good evening, gentlemen, and a few of you ladies who may be listening. This is another episode of Spiritual Art of War, and today we're going to go into the reality of women hitting the wall, something that they don't believe will happen. As you know, there's a store called Forever 21, and that is a desire that women have to have their what they perceive to be their highest leverage in the dating market and the highest leverage that they would have in basically being able to attract men. And it's very interesting because women that are 21, they don't realize, and we're just saying 21 because we're in the West. 21 is considered like the time that is the most, especially in America. Some countries have like a lower age for drinking, but in the West, in the United States at least, 21 is the age in which a woman can, purchase alcohol. So it's actually considered like on a social level, like an exploration into a different world, past just the 18 and up only spots or just house parties. Now they can go to these like 21 and up clubs and they can actually get to higher caliber men and they can basically go to places where they can meet, the kind of maybe make friends with the kind of woman that they are at the time. And what happens is with women is that because women don't are unable to truly gauge their own value. This is one of the reasons why fathers, okay, and the men in a woman's family would be the ones that would ensure that she does not spoil her value, okay. And this is like a very, very, very controversial thing to say, but we're going to say it anyway, right? They wanted to preserve her chastity, okay? Her virginity, her body for her husband. Because they knew even back then, as much as people, they're so advanced and civilized, the ancients of the old world understood that you had a lot more relationship stability when you married a virgin. This is known across all societies. Okay, some societies fell off, like your Greco-Romans and your Babylonians, where they had a lot more looser woman, and they turned it into a way to, you know, create these prostitute temples and then of course when these women would get pregnant, they would, then sacrifice those children to certain deities. Okay, now that's how they got around some of that stuff. That the looseness, they made it an industry into child sacrifice. Okay, which we kind of have that today. It's called, the A word, if you know what I mean. So why am I bringing up the reality of the wall? Well, the reality of the wall doesn't hit a woman at the same time. It doesn't hit all women at the same time. Because some women actually are unaware of even their clock to even have children. They'll see a celebrity pop out a child at, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. They'll see like a Drea Michelle or a Joey Chavez, the baby mama of, I believe, Bow Wow. Bow Wow had a child. One of these NFL players had a child with Joey Chavez. I don't recall if Future did as well, but she has like a couple of like two or three famous baby daddies. And she had another baby like pretty much around 40. And then same thing with Drea Michelle. So they'll see these women popping out these babies and they think that they still got time. Now realizing that these women are doing something that's statistically like an outlier. These are statistical outliers. It's just that these women are very like well known among the, so-called black and Latino community. I would say what you call the urban community, because that's who they're pretty much followed by. Primarily black and some Latino women and some women that basically, emulate, um, that want to be like closer to the hip hop slash, athletic type of men, because she wasn't loving hip hop and all that, or loving, basically basketball wives, even though she wasn't a wife. I'm talking about Drea Michelle. So you got women that kind of aspire to be these next up and coming women, and they think that they got all this time. They think they're going to be the hot stuff, and this is the reason why you have to understand that a lot of these guys will say the wall is 30. The wall is not 30 for every woman. You know what I'm saying? And I've seen some women that look, I could even think of, one of my exes. Now I could think about not only one of my exes, but even a couple of different women that I knew that were in their 30s, that were 30, 31, 32, and they looked a lot younger. They took very good care of themselves. I mean, I knew a woman, she was 30 years old, and when you know, I remember when I met her, she could pass easily for 23, 24. You know what I'm saying? She took very good care of herself. You know what I'm saying? Like worked out all the time, drank her water, had her little like teas and, her little, smoothies. I mean, really was on top of her game, taking those little like immune booster, what I'm saying? The little shot booster joints with the immune stuff, really taking good care of herself. So I'm talking about really can go out there and really compete with a woman that's 21, 22, 23 and be 30. Can even lie to men and say that they're younger than they really are. You know what I'm saying? Now, there's cues to know a woman is actually older than her age. There's certain things you can kind of know about a woman, especially if you start asking her, like, what's her favorite type of music and stuff like that. Because music is, at least in the, in the modern world, music has become like a way to kind of know like what somebody was into back in the day. If they telling you that they're a big fan of Lil Wayne, then they're probably like, on the younger side of being a millennial or the older Gen Z group, because that's like the Lil Wayne era. If you're like a younger Gen Z, you're 21 years old, you don't know about no damn Lil Wayne. Like if you're, you don't know about Lil Wayne like that. Because Lil Wayne, by the time you got to middle school, he was pretty much like on his way out. He had a couple of hits here and there, but you didn't get that peak. You didn't get that peak Carter 1, Carter 2. Lil Wayne, you sure didn't get the Cash Money Lil Wayne. So we know, how that is. So these women, they think that they got, forever. And in reality hits a lot of women when they start, because women, they gauge things, they gauge things based on like how about their birthday. The closer they get to 30, the more they panic. Okay, but some women don't panic. And let me tell you the reason why some women don't panic about the wall as they approach 30. Because they already have a child. Some of these women, because they already have children, they might already have a child or two, they will not panic about being 30 or approaching 30 as much as a woman that's childless. And you could see this with a lot of women. If you look at like some of these like very popular IG models that had children younger, you could tell by the way that they moved that they did not view themselves as aging out because they already had a child younger. So they're not pressed to have a child. They're in a different space. And I'm gonna drop some names. Bernice Burgos, she already had a daughter way back. So she's not pressed to have a child. She's not in that mode like a Brittany Renner was. The reason why Brittany Renner went into a panic mode is she was approaching 30 and then she jumped on the young PJ Washington because she didn't have no child. So these women, they'll move in a desperate mode when they're like approaching that age. You know what I'm saying? Whilst others, they won't move as desperate because they already have a child. Same case in point with Joey Chavez and Drea Michelle. They don't move desperate. They won't move as desperate because of that. They won't just jump and just go find a man and just knock them up. Because they already got a child from a previous situation. And if they already got validation from a guy that was an entertainer or an athlete, then they kind of feel validated among their peers. They bring their little child around and everybody knows that their child is the child of an NBA player or NFL player or a rapper. So they're kind of like not even really pressed as much. So you have to understand that it's really not age that is doing. The reality of the wall is a little bit different. Now, I think that for some of those women, it's just going to come down to if they care about having a child or not. And what those type of women will do, they'll just get surgery, work out, keep themselves right. And to be honest, with modern technology, a lot of these women can go, around. If they take really good care of themselves and get the right surgeons, they can attract, men deep into their 30s. You know what I'm saying? And I've seen a lot of women that, you know, on that have been able to do that. And because you got to think about it, this Instagram has been around for a while. I'd say it really took off when Facebook bought it. And you got women that have really been around, like on the scene for going on 10 to 12 years, you know, and they're still like relevant. They're still relevant. Their names are still being, you know, dropped. You know what I'm saying? So that's the reason why you kind of see like there's no panic in some of these women because they already got children. You know what I'm saying? And they'll glow up. Some of the women, they'll actually glow up when they hit 30 or towards 30. You know, especially if they already have a child, and depending on the type of woman they are. You know what I'm saying? You got, I'm gonna give you an example. Kaylani the singer, the one that used to be with, she was with Kyrie Irving, then she cheated on Kyrie Irving with Party Next Door, got exposed, and she faked that she was gonna delete herself. She went and had a baby with her gay homie. I'm not kidding. Look it up. She had a friend. She had a child with her gay friend, and I seen something pop up, you know, on one of these blogs where she had just turned 30, and she's, you know, looks probably better than ever. You know what I'm saying? And this is hurts a lot of you guys that want to see some of these women fail, and you want to see these women be down bad and upset because they hit 30. Sometimes it's not like that for some of these women, bro. They already got a child, not doing that. They're not feeling like that. If anything, some of these women will make a lot of changes in their life that they hadn't had before, and they'll get healthier. And someone like Kaylani, she really been hitting the gym and eating right and staying away from drugs and alcohol. You know what I'm saying? These women get sober and stuff like that, and they kind of have a semi glow up around 30, and they kind of like be whatever. So, you know, someone like that, I don't know if she still likes dudes or whatever. She really presses her lesbianism super heavy, but she is from the Bay, and we know the Bay is gay. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. But if she wanted to pop up out there and go get her like a little basketball player, NFL player, you know what I'm saying, or even a rapper, or you know what I'm saying, or a singer or whatever, she can go do it. You know what I'm saying? Her being 30 is not gonna hurt her. It's just not gonna hurt her as much as you think. Because some of these women, they actually do glow up later. I've seen there's some women that do have later glow ups. You know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, like I said before, you got surgery. So what is the wall? What is the reality of the wall for some of these women? It's going to be their own individual circumstance, and it's going to be case by case basis. It just is. And the fact is that especially among so-called black men, a lot of older, you know, a lot of brothers that are over 30, they don't, they really don't have a problem with women that are in their 30s or even older than them. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like they're going to be short of attention and even options, even from established men, they'll still consider them. This is just the truth. You know what I'm saying? Because in the West, people are just don't really have that strict adherence to like an age limit of like the highest you go like they do in East Asia. In East Asia, a lot of those cultures, a woman hit 26, she's done. You know, they call her Christmas cake because she's the day after the 25th is left over. She's no good. So that's one of the reasons why you have a lot of problems with marriage crisis going on in Asia, because a lot of the traditional men, they don't want to marry anything over 25. You know what I'm saying? Now, there is not really a marriage culture here, but there's still a dating culture. There's still a relationship culture here. And there's still a baby making culture here. And that's what some of these women, that's all they really want. They want validation, and then they get their validation for however much they want it, and then they go on to the next man. Or they just, you know, go through a particular period. So a lot of times, you know, people got to understand, man, it's not like what we really think it is all the time. Now, for a good chunk of women, they're going to mess themselves up so bad, especially with like multiple kids by multiple men, or just multiple kids, or depending on what a man it doesn't stand for, they're going to mess their situation up. You know what I'm saying? But depending if the woman is a good looking, she's extremely good looking, she'll have no shortage of suitors. Trust me, she'll have no shortage of suitors. And some of these guys, they say they'll never get with a single mother. Never say never. Some of these guys, some guys are really strict. Some guys don't know how if they really are strict. Okay, because trust me, if a mirror dime popped up on you with a child, and she's interested in you, I'd say 90% of you guys that say you wouldn't would. Y'all would get into that relationship with a mirror dime, okay? Because, so it's not an end all be all for some of these women, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's for a good chunk of them, and we have the data to back that up. That a lot of these women are not getting married, and when you poll the reason why these men are not marrying them, a lot of men are saying because these women already had children with other men. You know what I'm saying? Or she's too old to give me children. The legacy. Why would I even want to build with her? You know what I'm saying? But you got to remember, there's also, I've seen a couple, I might even have to do like a little thing on them. I've seen an older couple, they already have kids from previous marriages and relationships, and they're like in their probably mid to late 40s, and they've been together for a few years, and they're doing phenomenal. Like, they're doing phenomenal as far as relationships. So this woman was deep into her 40s and was still able to get married to a guy that's established, makes good money, has an influencer. He's like one of those, fitness type guys, and she's heavy into fitness herself, but she has like a day job. You know what I'm saying? And they're rocking and rolling, man. So a lot of times, man, people gotta understand like it's not really end all be all for all women in their situation, bro. It really is a case by case basis because some women have, some people still have, some women still have value. It's just the reality, bro. I know it hurts a lot of you guys, but some women still have value out here, and you know what I'm talking about when they look good and they carry themselves well and they know how to do certain things. They kind of know how to do a little bit of everything, and they can add value to some of these men. They'll take them. Okay, it's just that they're taking them less because men generally want to have a certain type of woman, and if they know they can probably wait it out a little bit longer, they'll eventually feel like they'll get what they're looking for. And if not, they just gonna become a grab that passport and go overseas, right? So I'm gonna probably do like even more on this topic about the wall, but let me know what you think. Like, share, and subscribe. I'm out.